Electrocast.
There's a change happening in the way we live, the way we work, the way we spend our money and make our decisions. We are evolving to be more conscious in our actions in a way that serves the world and makes it a better place. Welcome to the Ethical Evolution. The Ethical Evolution podcast is brought to you by the Ethical Change Agency. I'm Bindi, CEO and founder, and I am honoured to bring you the stories of those who create change through paying it forward and giving back. Ethical business owners and holistic healers who are determined to create collective change in the world. Once we have a change in consciousness, and through collective change, we can become one. A number of guests from around the world recommended that I speak to my next guest. I can see why she got so many recommendations. She is a great fit for the Ethical Evolution. Carol Hanson is the Conscious Wardrobe Stylist based in the UK. Her mission in life is simple: to inspire women who have a wardrobe full of clothes but nothing to wear. She will help you look and feel fabulous every time you get dressed. But more than that, she wants you to do this with a conscious style approach. The scale of the negative impact the fashion industry and our consumption has on the planet is no longer a dirty secret. This is not just about the environmental cost, but the human cost as well, from farming through manufacturing, the irreparable damage to our fragile ecosystems, endangering the lives and health of some of the poorest people in the world, all in the name of fashion. Welcome, Carol, to the Ethical Evolution.
It's great to be on. I really appreciate the fact that we've connected, Bindi, and it's such a pleasure to be on your show.
Oh, look, now you and I have been trying to connect for a while, and there have been so many people around the world who have recommended I chat to you, and it hasn't just been one. There's been multiple. I'm like, oh, there's Carol Hanson. I need to talk to her. Now you're based in the UK, and as we go to air right now, we are in the grip of coronavirus crisis. So it is so great we can still connect from the opposite sides of the world and actually share our passions. And I really thank you for taking the time.
No problem at all. It as I say, it is great that we have got the connection, and it is going to help us stay in contact. And I think we're going to be thanking the internet a lot in the next few coming weeks and months for enabling us to stay connected in a way, because humans need connection.
So true. Now, for those of us who are listening who don't actually know who you are, do you want to tell us a bit about who you are and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Carol Hanson, and I inspire women who have a wardrobe full of clothes but nothing to wear. I help them to look and feel fabulous every time they get dressed. So I work with women on their personal style, but it's much more than that. It's about helping them to either discover or reclaim their identity and feel confident about what they're wearing. Now, a sort of traditional, if you like, personal stylist will take somebody through a consultation and then they will take them personal shopping. And with my views on sustainability and our overconsumption, I take people shopping in their own wardrobes, because it's my belief that most of us have too many clothes, and we go out and buy clothes without really realizing what we've got in our wardrobes and how we can make better use of what we've got.
Yeah, so that's where all these ethics come into play, isn't it? Where you're actually reusing items in your wardrobe, or actually recycling.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I as I say, I teach people to go shopping in their own wardrobes. There will be clothes that aren't right, that we can't do much with, and that people are hanging on to usually for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But when we do get rid of those, I always show people how to recycle responsibly, because there are a good few myths around about what happens to clothes when we just donate them to a charity or a thrift store. And those, we also look at what clothes we may be able to repurpose. So, for example, I was with a client a couple of weeks ago, and she had a couple of favorite dresses, but because of the way that her body shape had changed, they didn't really work for her anymore around the neckline. So I showed her how we could alter the neckline. So she's actually a seamstress herself. So she's gone ahead to go and change those necklines. Another client I was working with, back end of last year, I met her again last week, and she was so excited because she'd just picked up a pile of clothes from her little dry cleaners and alteration shop, where I'd made her some suggestions about what she could do to alter some of her clothes, to make them work better for her. And she felt like she'd just gone and picked up a new wardrobe without actually investing in new clothes.
Yeah, isn't that great? And it's kind of funny because last year I lost a significant amount of weight, like 20 plus kilos. And I have a friend who is a personal stylist and shopper, and we went and we restyled me, and then I had a photo shoot. And just understanding what your colours are, I think, is a really important thing. And if you look at me right now, I'm wearing black. I quite often wear black. But understanding, that probably with my complexion, cool colours really work well for me. I'm very mindful of that now when I get dressed, and I'm like, okay, blues are my colour, like, hello, my brand's behind me. But just really rethinking things and being conscious about what you put on every day, because it's part of your personal brand, isn't it?
It is part of your personal brand, absolutely. And if you feel more confident about what you're wearing, then it's going to have a massive effect on other aspects of your life. I've worked with some people where they said it's really turned their business around as well, because they've had that feeling of confidence that they can step out and step into their identity and what they're really meant to be doing.
And that's it.
So it is really powerful.
Yeah. And a lot of people in small business, I mean, they sometimes forget that their business is them.
Yes.
They are their
Very
business.
true.
So,
Absolutely.
yeah. So their presentation is really everything, isn't it?
The presentation is really important, and that they feel really good about themselves as well, because again, that will help them attract the kind of clients that they want to work with. Because let's face it, if you're not feeling great about yourself, then the energy you're giving out isn't great either. And it can have a massive impact on the way your business works. And let's face it, at the moment, we all need to be pulling together as small businesses to be able to keep our businesses going at the moment.
Yeah, it's so true. With what you do, like, what is your mission? How many people do you want to reach? What do you want to achieve in the work that you do?
Okay, so with the work that I do, I'd like to reach out to all women who are not feeling confident, really between the ages of 40 and 60. But let's be realistic, that's not going to happen. So my aim is to reach as many women as possible. And as I say, I do work within a demographic of that kind of 40 to 60, not exclusively, but those are the types of clients that I find I work best with.
Yep.
I work very much with entrepreneurs, and I get a lot of my business comes through networking, and from that also referrals from people that I've worked with through networking. And as a result of that, it's kind of, that's the world that I work within to be able to support them. And it may be people that have been in business a couple of years. That initial investment when you set up in business is always going to be in your business. And then as you start to grow your business, you'll find that you need to kind of start investing in yourself to get to that next level. And that's where I come in. and are able to help people. And I work with people on a one-to-one basis, but I also work with people on group work as well. So I run a couple of online courses, and I've got a feeling I'm going to be doing a lot more online work certainly in the next few months. So that I can reach a wider audience, and it's a good way for people to still be able to work with me, but to do a lot of the work themselves, obviously, because I'm not there with them.
And do you find, no doubt you've probably had some clients that you've had for a significant amount of time. Do you find that they evolve in their style over time?
Interesting question. I tend to see my clients again, but I also tend to work with my clients very much, unless they're doing online courses with me, on a one-to-one basis. And I'm continually looking for new business as opposed to being repeat clients, because my ethos is about educating them and helping them to move on.
Yep.
And so, yes, I will bump into my clients, but I'm not likely to be kind of working with them on a repeat business on that side of it. But I do see a difference. I love it when I see my clients at events afterwards, and you can see how they walk into a room differently. They hold themselves differently because they've got that feeling of confidence that they know what they're doing, they're wearing the right colors, and the whole posture's different. And that to me is huge, really is huge, as well as helping to educate them about the ethical side and the whole side regarding sustainable fashion, and helping to show them that fashion is the second biggest pollutant in the world in terms of industries, under the oil and aviation industry. So we really need to clean up our act in fashion, and a lot of people are still kind of aware of it, but I think there's a little bit of kind of aware of it, but what can I do about it? And that's, again, is where I can help and show them how they can make better use of their clothes, how when they do shop they can make ethical choices, sustainable choices, and what to look for in terms of greenwashing, which is a big factor within the fashion industry at the moment.
Yeah, there's another guest I had on the podcast who's actually also in the UK, and I think I might connect the two of you if you don't know each other.
That'd be great.
But we were talking about the impact that fashion has on the environment, and just recently they posted something like the fashion industry uses a huge percentage of water to create cotton. Globally, the amount of water used to create cotton for the clothes we wear is incredible. It's almost more than what humans consume.
It's a lot more than humans consume, because cotton is grown in fairly dry and arid environments. And so they need to irrigate to get a decent crop. The demand that we're putting on production means that production has to go up. And then on top of that, if they till, so in other words, if they harvest the cotton and then they turn the ground over, then A, that dries that out more, but B, it releases more carbon into the atmosphere as well. So in fact, what you find with organic cotton is the way that they farm it. It's much better irrigation. Use of irrigation. They teach, there are lots of initiatives that teach people how to irrigate better. And they also do it on what's called a no-till basis. So they're not actually releasing that carbon at the end of the season. So they're not actually ploughing the ground up to then plant more cotton trees. So it's much better. But we have to change, and finding other materials, using other materials that are less water hungry, because there's a lot in the growth of the cotton, but then there's an awful lot during the dyeing process, particularly. With a pair of jeans, for example, there's an awful lot of water's used there, and unless they've got what's called a closed loop cycle, so that they're able to recycle that water, then again it's just used and then it's passed out into the water supply.
So, from your opinion, what do you reckon is probably the most ethical and sustainable fabric we could be seeking in our clothing?
That's a really good question. There are several. Linen is a good one because that uses an awful lot less water in production. Hemp is
Yes.
another one. And also there are a number of manufactured products such as Tencel, and they come under a brand called Lyocell. And what they basically are is it's breaking down the cellulose in various plants to be able to then use that and manufacture it. So it's effectively done under laboratory conditions. And that they are better, much better for the environment. The other thing is to think about reclaimed fabrics. So, for example, there's a swimwear brand over here in the UK, and there are more than one, but this particular one, I met the founder and MD last year, and she's using something called Nyatel, which is effectively reclaimed fishing nets.
Right.
And that's taking the fishing waste out of the problems we've got with plastic waste in the ocean. About 45% of that plastic waste is
Wow.
actually discarded fishing nets. And this process then breaks down those fishing nets and turns it into a fabric that can be used.
Oh, that's incredible. I know several people I can connect you with that are going to change your world that have been on this
That would be
podcast,
amazing.
and they're all from the UK.
Brilliant.
I am the global connector. So now, you were talking about your clients. Can you tell us about some of the people that you've helped and the difference it's made to them?
Yeah, sure. So I work with people. The people I tend to work with, apart from the demographic of as I mentioned, there's another reason why I work with that demographic, and it's because they very often are going through some big lifestyle changes.
Yeah.
Now, that may be menopause, which of course has a big impact on women's bodies and their mental and their physical health, and changes the body shape. So someone who may have been of a particular body shape pre-menopause can then change post-menopause, and that can have a real impact on women's confidence. There are also other things that can happen to that age group, which could be children leaving home, empty nesting syndrome,
Yeah.
can be relationship breakdowns. And I know that can happen at any age, but it can impact a woman in middle age quite badly in terms of upsetting her confidence.
Yeah.
And also in terms of all of that is a woman, particularly with children leaving home and stuff, is a woman reclaiming her identity. Her
Yes.
children don't need her so much anymore.
Yeah.
I also work with women who are retiring, and that may be retiring from services such as the police, the paramedics, where they've worn a uniform all their lives, particularly if they've done long service.
Yeah.
That uniform has identified them.
Yeah.
And they're now at a stage where they get a bit lost in terms of their identity because they've had that work uniform. And then generally, because they've been working shift work and all the rest of it, they may have had a kind of off-duty uniform. So again, it's that's another area. Or women who've been bereaved. Or women who are just retiring out of city life or retiring out of or coming out of corporate life to set up their own business. But as I said, it generally takes a couple of years before those women are ready to work with me, because that initial investment does tend to be in their business.
Wow. And as you were just explaining all those kinds of women there, it reminded me of a recent guest who I think you might actually know.
Who's that?
Liza Baker.
Oh, she's amazing.
Liza? Yeah.
I love her.
So she and I were talking about women over 40 and how, there's just this unwritten code that we all have over 40 that, we don't take anybody's shit anymore, and we reclaim our space for ourselves. And I no doubt you would be experiencing that with the clients that you have.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So,
Lisa and I got together, and in fact, we recorded an interview for her private membership site
Oh, cool.
last week. Yeah,
Nice.
so she's, or 2 weeks ago, she is absolutely amazing. I
Yeah.
love her energy.
Yeah. So I just love how we're making the world smaller. Like, this is so, so cool.
Yeah.
So what do you reckon has been your biggest challenge in the work that you do, and how did you overcome it?
It's probably, in a sense, was my own journey in that sense. My own journey is that I actually suffer from an eating disorder for 23 years. And, I had overcome it by the time I started styling. Otherwise, I couldn't have styled women. I'd have dragged myself back into that darker place in terms of if people were telling me about their own imperfections, and that would be magnifying my own and could have caused triggers. But in a sense, it's that has been part of my journey. The reason I started my personal styling consultancy was actually on the back of a less successful business that I was running. So in 2013, I went out with no experience in fashion, no experience in e-commerce, no experience in marketing, and bought an existing online boutique that was up for sale.
Right.
How hard could it be? Well, very, as I found out as I tried to grow the business and get that stock turnover right and get the marketing right and so on and so forth. And I was doing a lot of marketing offline as well as online, putting on various events, fashion shows, clothes parties, anything I could think of, to be honest, to try and build the business up. And what I found I was attracting were women who wanted to come and talk to me about the fact that clothes weren't right for them.
Yes.
And the common thread that was coming through all of that was a lack of confidence, and a sense of just not knowing who they were anymore and what their identity was. And, all of those factors that I bring in to the way that I work with women now. And so I guess my challenge on that sense has been about really helping women to explore themselves and to fall back in love with their bodies again.
Yeah, that is so beautiful. And in saying that, my friend who's also a stylist, we've also done a podcast together previously. And one of the things that we both got really passionate about was, women our age tend to, well, some of us tend to carry a little more weight. So when we go looking at fashion, it is frumpy, it's ugly, it's just, it has no shape, it has no style. And it's like, it's like we've lost all kind of, and I think this is where a lot of the self-esteem issues come in, and is when you go to the stores and you look at this stuff, you go, I can't wear that, I'm going to look like a tent, like you want some shape, you actually want to show your curves.
Absolutely.
But, just what is wrong with the fashion industry that we can't get this stuff if we're over a size 16?
Yeah, it is wrong. I mean, I really hate what the fashion industry does in terms of that with women, and the fact that it believes that women of a certain size that you would consider a regular size are considered plus size, and then, as you say, as the sizes get bigger. With very many brands, the clothing shape, the definition disappears, and that is the worst thing that you can do is to put on clothes that have no shape or definition, because they will just simply make you look bigger.
Exactly.
As opposed to showing off your curves, showing off that definition. It's a far more attractive look, and it's going to make you feel more confident.
And they tend to put all the highlights in the wrong places, so it's like...
Yep.
So
yeah, pockets on your boobs. That really isn't a good look.
What were they thinking?
But you're right, and I don't know an awful lot about I'll be honest, I don't know an awful lot about the fashion market over there in Australia, but I do hear this from women over here in the UK. That there are only certain brands that they feel cater to them.
Yeah, and that's it. You get to know which ones you can kind of rely on, and which will, work for you. And the minute they change those designs, it's just, You can tell
Yeah,
the difference.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've got to ask you, can you define what being ethical means to you?
Yeah, for me, it's about not taking all the resources from the planet, that we need to cut down on consumption. We need to rethink our buying. We need to grow crops more sustainably. And in terms of manufacturing, we need to manufacture better too, because I'm sure you've probably heard of Rana Plaza, the fashion disaster in Bangladesh that happened in 2013, which was a real shocking example for the world about how the garment industry was behind the scenes. And people thought that Rana Plaza was a one-off incident, when in fact it's not. There are many other garment factories that have had massive accidents, maybe not on the same scale as that, but again, where the profit margins are so tight within that industry that whoever's owning the factories can't actually invest in the factories because they're too busy trying to meet the demand that the brands are placing on them. And it is a crazy cycle of consumption, because when you think that we don't even consume all of the products, and many brands end up offloading products, or worse still, some brands burning stock because they don't want to devalue it. And people are not being paid decent wages. All of that needs to stop.
Yeah.
We need to stop and think about it. We can't just close down and say, we're not going to buy fashion anymore. We're not going to buy clothes anymore. There's lots of reasons for that. And the one that always comes to me straight away is that there are an awful lot of people that will lose their jobs and, not be able to provide for their families if we do that, who work within the garment industry. And many of those, about 80% of them are women. And so we have to do things differently. Consumers have got to start saying no, and brands have got to start being more responsible. So there is an enormous step change that has got to take place within the fashion industry. There are some great movers and shakers out there who are doing stuff, creating awareness, and bringing a lot of this to the media's attention. But we need to do more, and we've got to keep doing more, and we can't get complacent about it.
That's exactly right. And I think the other big thing that I've learned is that we need more transparency around where our garments are coming from, where they've started and where they've ended. We've got no idea.
And there are some brands that are doing that and doing it very well. There's a brand called Everlane, which is an American brand, which is, I think it really started as a jeans brand, but it does other basic sort of casual clothes for both men and women. And they have within their website, go and have a look at their website, because it's great, because it takes you back through where everything has come from, and they only work with certain factories. And so you have got that transparency. And yes, I agree with you. More brands need to do that, and brands need to be held to account if they're not doing it as well.
And another that I'm going to mention, and I'm actually going to connect you with if you don't know her, is Sarah from You Underwear
Right.
in the UK. They actually have a little QR code that's on all their products that actually tells you the story of where it's come from and how it's got to you, and everybody that's been involved in that chain. I think that's a beautiful
and I think that's
thing.
great.
Yeah,
and there's another brand over here in the UK called Birdsong, where they manufacture most of they get the cotton comes from one particular area, so they're not transporting stuff all over the world. So they're doing getting most of their fabrics from one particular area. Most of the goods are then manufactured here in the UK, and they're manufactured by women who, for various reasons, would struggle to find work within the workplace, or if they did find work within the workplace, it wouldn't be fairly paid. Now, they may be women of different ethnic cultures and stuff like that, who basically the skilled seamstresses, but they would be taken advantage of. But Birdsong doesn't take advantage of them, and it offers an opportunity. They are self-employed, but they're paid a living wage, as we call it over here in the UK, rather than the brands that underpay people. And so they're then just manufacturing fundamentally in one place. They're selling mainly within the UK. So again, their carbon footprint is kept quite low as well.
Yeah.
And those are the kinds of brands that we need to be supporting.
So what are your future plans in the work that you're doing, and how do you want to help women more?
To carry on doing what I'm doing, to shout more about it. This is why part of the reason why I'm doing a number of podcast interviews at the moment is to kind of raise my profile generally.
Yep.
To keep talking about it, to keep campaigning for it, to keep educating from that point of view, because I think creating more awareness will create change. If people aren't aware of something, then they're not going to change.
Yes, and I no doubt I'm seeing the smile on your face, and I know that you know what my mission is, and it's all about collective change. So I'm right with you, sister. Now, how can people get involved in what you do and find out more?
Okay, so I have my website, which is carolahanson.com. I'm also on various social media channels. So I'm on LinkedIn as Carol A. Hanson. I'm on Facebook, where I have my own business page, which is the Conscious Wardrobe Stylist. And I also have a Facebook group called Awesome Women with Style.
Ooh.
And I'm also on Instagram as well, which is _Carol_Hanson. So those are the best ways that people can reach out to me. And all of those social media links are, of course, on my website as well. So that's the best way to reach me.
And do you take global clients at all, or are you more locally based?
Well, really interesting the way that you that comment, because obviously with what we're going through as we're recording this interview in terms of the unprecedented circumstances around coronavirus, I was actually talking to a lady in Costa Rica last week, and she was saying, I would love to work with you, but I don't want to work on one of your group programs. So how can we work together?
Yeah.
So that's got me really thinking now as to how I can offer an online one-to-one styling service with people. I've always thought there are certain challenges around it, particularly in regard to working with someone on their colours, because you need to have the right light and everything to be able to do a proper colour analysis. But there is no reason why I can't take someone through decluttering and sorting out their wardrobe, doing it on an online basis. So I am looking at it and how I can then adapt my online group programs to be able to run through with someone on a one-to-one basis as well.
Yeah.
Because again, there's no reason why I can't do that as an online service.
Yeah. I'm also keen to learn from you what would be your top tips for loving your wardrobe and not killing the planet while you do it.
I love that one. Thank you very much for asking me that, Bindi, because I do start from a position of love when I'm working with a client. And what we do is we identify what is your favorite outfit. And when you've got that favorite outfit, really look at it and understand what it is about that outfit that really lights you up. Is it the colors? Is it the style, the shape? Is it the fabric it's made from? Is it the finishes, the texture, the print? Is it the fact that just whenever you put it on, you feel really you, if that makes sense? You feel really lit up, and maybe you get lots of compliments whenever you're wearing it. Because you can use that then as a kind of a blueprint. Not that I'm saying that everything should be a replica of your favorite outfit, but you can understand what really works for you. So we start from that position of love. The other thing I do with clients in terms of identifying and helping them to love their wardrobes, is identify what parts of your body you really love. So, and some clients do struggle with that. So, for example, if someone says that they really love their eyes, for example, I will show them the colours that they can wear to help their eyes pop, to really stand out, the necklines that work, which will draw attention to their eyes, the accessories that they can wear, again, that will draw attention to their eyes, so that we start again from that position of love. So, because if you love something about your wardrobe and you can then replicate that going forward, it's going to make life an awful lot easier.
Yeah, and I think it's this is all part of, I think, what you would do is actually raising that consciousness in women to actually, look and feel more about what they're choosing to wear.
Absolutely.
Like some time ago, I used to wear red a lot, and then when I learnt that it really wasn't my colour, I was like, yeah, I see that now. So understanding whether you're cool colours, warm colours, all those kind of things, based on your complexion and your looks, your hair, your eyes, all those kind of things, it can really make you look $1 million.
It can. And when you look $1 million, you start feeling $1 million as well.
So true.
And that is just so important.
Yeah.
And let's face it, at the moment, we need to do everything we can to raise ourselves up again in the current sort of world situation to make ourselves really feel good.
Yeah.
And that is just so important. But what I would say with your comment about colours is that everybody can wear most colours apart from the neutrals.
Yeah.
It's about getting the right tone and shade
That's
for your skin. So even though you're a cool complexion, you can still wear certain red tones, but they need to be the ones that work for you as well.
Yeah. I was going for the really warm reds, which really weren't me.
Yeah, which won't work. But if you've got cooler reds or burgundy type colours, clarity type reds, then they will look sensational on you.
Yeah. So I've got a big question for you, Carol.
Go on.
I
like big questions.
You do? What's the change you'd like to see in the world, and how can we bring it to life?
I want to see us really think about what we are doing with the planet. We've got this current situation at the moment with this pandemic, and I am hoping some good is going to come from it. I really do. We've seen pollution levels fall incredibly within China since the outbreak in China. And what I want to see is that we just don't go back to where we were, that we use this as a real opportunity for positive change.
Yeah.
And that positive change has to be bi-directional in my view. It has to be top down from government. And governments need to unite on this, which unfortunately, as we know, they haven't been doing. And we as individuals, we need to work collectively to raise our own consciousness and do our own bit. Because although I know there are some arguments that say, oh, well, if you just do your recycling or whatever, or your bit, then it's going to make no difference. But if collectively we all start doing it, of course it's going to make a difference.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that the one good thing that is going to come out of this current situation is that we do start looking at the world differently.
And then, with so many people going
I pray for that. I really do, because I just think it is an amazing opportunity for us to really rethink what we're doing. You're going to find, particularly with the travel industry, that's never going to be quite the same again. The aviation industry is likely to take a massive hit. And let's use that as an opportunity to rethink things.
Yeah, so true. And, with so many people going into isolation at the moment and lockdown and all these kind of things, it really gives us an opportunity to look at our own backyard and the way we do things and how we can elevate above what we've previously done.
I'm with you all the way on that one. I really am, because it is an opportunity. It's an opportunity for businesses as well to look at how they can work differently. Do you really need to be going into an office every day? How much better, how much more productive can you do it with people working from home without getting stuck on commutes and stuff like that and causing all that pollution on the roads. And it is an amazing opportunity for us to look at stuff, and for us to question stuff. We still need that human connection. Humans need connection. We can't, we will struggle without it. It's the one area that really does worry me at the moment is how we preserve mental health going through this, particularly when people are in isolation, particularly when elderly people are in isolation too, who may not have the access to technology. I know a lot of older people do, but not everybody does in that older generation yet. So we need to be very mindful. But I'm also hoping that this is, and certainly we're seeing it over here in the UK, that it's going to kind of bring out a community spirit that we haven't seen for a long time. Certainly here in the town that I live in, and many others in the UK, we're starting up Facebook groups where we're basically saying, okay, sign up for this, and what support can you offer? What support do other people need? And so that people can just get together and help the neighbours out effectively.
Yeah.
And I'd love to see more of that. I'd love to see us getting back to that, because I think it's something that we have really lost in the world over the past few years, as families have got more disjointed, as people move away to work. It's not that same, and as transportation becomes much easier and cheaper, it's not the same that used to be even in my parents' generation.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about this all day today, actually, because looking at our current situation and how it's actually impacting business, I think it gives us the opportunity to pivot and actually do things better, where the result effect is we have less of an impact on the planet, but more of an impact on each other.
Yeah. And that we start to give the planet back, give back to the planet, and give back to nature, and allow the planet to recover from all the damage that we've done to it. We're not going to get away with total wholesale change, but it would just be amazing if we could use this as an opportunity to put the brake on everything. And as you say, to use it as an amazing opportunity to re-look at what we're doing and how we could do things differently in the future.
Yeah, and I think, like you've said, it's a really good opportunity for us to be there for each other. And there are so many people doing it tough at the moment, and I really think this is a really good time for us to step up and help each other, just with the simple things, So let's look at this as more of a blessing than a curse.
I agree. It's going to cause hardship. It's scary. It's worrying, but we can also put a positive spin on this, and as we both said, use it to the world's advantage, the planet's advantage, and ultimately to our own advantage, because it's not just about saving the planet per se, it's about saving humanity.
Yeah, absolutely. Carol, it's been huge. I have to thank you. Like, this has been absolutely incredible. I can't thank you enough for being a part of the Ethical Evolution, and I can't wait to share this story with the world.
Thank you very much, and please share the links. Let me have the links so I can start sharing it out with my tribe as well, because it's been incredible talking to you, and I'm so glad that we've actually managed to hook up at last, Bindi.
Yes, we've got our own little global community happening, so let's keep that trucking along. I think we can just make this ripple even further.
Yeah, I think so. I don't want to actually create a tsunami, but let's get those ripples going big time, and create some nice big waves, and then maybe do some surfing on them.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Thank you so much, Carol.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to the Ethical Evolution podcast. If you're an ethical business owner, change maker, or holistic healer who's determined to make a change in the world and you need support to spread your message, visit ethicalchangeagency.com to collaborate.
Hey, what's happening out there, everybody? This is Lawrence Ross, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about my podcast, The Lawrence Ross Show.
Egomaniac.
It's a 2-hour weekly exploration into my mind. I also do sketches, celebrity impersonations.
You're out of order!
And I also do song parodies. Not too shabby for a blind guy.
Not only are you visually impaired, but you are geographically impaired.
New episodes are released every Friday. Check it out on your favorite podcasting platform or listen to it here on Society 13 on Electrocast.
Hey there, fabulous souls. I'm Stephanie Baklaan.
And I'm Eden Alpert.
And we're the hosts of the brand new podcast, Unapologetically Fab.
Get ready to join us on an amazing and real journey as we dive into life after 40 and own it.
We're all about changing the narrative, leaning into who you are, and living a life by your own design.
Join us as we embrace life unapologetically and redefine success.
This is Unapologetically Fab,
an Electrocast production.
See you there.
Electrocast.